Jamaica Constabulary Force in their crime fight continues to be of moment. This morning I heard the Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake, speaking with Turner and George about that issue. In a very revealing interview, he went on for more than half an hour. And one of the things that struck me was, we talk about bureaucracy and the procurement process and the need for the procurement process and the bureaucracy to be modernized, optimized, so that it does not, as a process, retards productivity. And as I listened to Dr. Blake this morning, that kept on coming at me, that this bureaucratic process is needed. Well, how do we refine it so that it does not cost us? Because body-worn cameras has become a controversial issue. Most of the controversy really born out of ignorance and lack of knowledge about the process, the procurement process, to get to the point where we can acquire the cameras, and also the ecosystem that is required to make sure we get the best from the cameras, And this morning, Dr. Blake made the point that the bureaucratic hurdles, have really hampered the force's efforts to procure 1,000 additional body-worn cameras in a timely manner. He told Turner and George this morning that the process has been going on for more than a year, with the first attempt to acquire the cameras being rejected by the public procurement authorities in October 2024.
On July 2024, we decided on procuring 750 body-worn cameras. But given the urgency, we decided to take a particular procurement path and use the procurement path that is treated for issues of national security. And so we sent a request for quotation directly to an international manufacturer. And this is a manufacturer whose equipment we have had the benefit of testing for quite a period, and we have studied extensively and have provided this equipment to many of our foreign international partners, law enforcement partners. And so we decided to take that route. So we sent out the request for quotation on July 22, 2024.
Good.
Yes. August 21st, 2024, we completed the internal approvals. On October 30th, 2024, we submitted a notification of the procurement activity and request for support to the Office of Public Procurement Policy on using this provision. And we did it specific, citing national security interests.
Yes.
And we did this specifically because of the procurement path that we're taking.
Yes.
Now, national security, some would say that, well, it's body-use camera. But it's not just the device and what that device does, but the capability in it, the fact that we're streaming data, the fact that it is integrating with other tools that we have and stuff like that. Much of this would rather not be something out there in public domain.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we received a response from the OPP requesting further clarity.
That's the Office of Public Procurement.
Yes. And so August 30, we submitted the notification. September 30th, 1 month after, we received a response from them for further clarity, right? I sent a letter to eGov requesting a no objection, which is part of this process. And that was sent on October 9th, 2024. We sent a follow-up to the OPP emphasizing national security interests, which is a clarification that they sought regarding the path that we intend to take. So that was sent on October 9th, 2024. We received a no objection from EGOV on October 14th, 2024. I sent a letter to the Public Procurement Commission requesting approval outlining strategic background and national security imperative, and that was October 17th, 2024. The PPC issued a non-approval because they did not agree that it had met the threshold for the national security interest, and that's what stalled the first iteration and the first attempt at procuring those 7.
Dr. Kevin Blake, the Commissioner of Police. And it was important to hear that, because the level of trust in the country is so low that unless you share this kind of information, people are going to come away, as it is felt now, that Blake and his lot in the Constabulary Force are not really interested in acquiring the body-worn cameras. Yeah? That they're not really interested. So it was important when I heard him this morning, giving the deadline, of the sequence of events for people to appreciate that we talk about public procurement and we cuss the bureaucrats and the politicians when they don't follow the procurement process. But when they do, it means delivering goods and services to you is delayed. That is the other side of the issue. And this is a work in progress that we have to continue to work at so that we get the right balance. According to Dr. Blake, because of that experience which he outlined, the force had to restart the entire procurement process using what he calls an open bid in November last year.
Immediately after, on the 29th of November 2024, the team came to me and we made a decision to not try to push back, but just start through the ordinary long open bid process. And that was decided on. But then we said that if we're going to go that route, might as well we just go for 1,000 body-worn cameras. And so we decided on November 29, 2024, that we will restart the procurement process, but this time with 1,000 body-worn cameras. On that very same day, we launched a normal procurement competitive process and advertised it on the GoJet, which is a government electronic procurement platform. So on the very same day we made that advertisement because of the urgency. We were a bit disappointed because we really wanted to catch a festive season with those cameras and put them out there. Thankfully, we had a very good period, even without the rollout of the cameras. But that was one of the milestones that we're trying to meet. Now, on December 30th, 2024, the original deadline for bid was submitted. So we asked that person to submit by December 30th, 2024. Now, what you're doing now is opening up this process to all. I personally have gotten, call and interest from persons who I know specifically have zero knowledge of body-worn camera or the technology, but they are in the field of technology and want it. So it opens the top persons who are not even qualified to provide this tool or this technology. But we had to go that route.
Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake. We're going to hear more from his interview this morning with Turner and George Davis after the break. Kevin Blake with Turner and George about the issue of body-worn cameras for the security forces, in particular the police force. He told Turner and George that the contract for the 1,000 units was signed on September 24. That's what, 4 days ago, 2025.
The deadline for the submission of bid was December 30th, 2024. We had 8 bidders and 1 bidder requested an extension. And so once we give that extension, we have to extend it for all bidders. And so we gave an extension and the deadline moved from December 30th, 2024 to January 10, 2025. And so that deadline date was extended. Now, when all bids are submitted, this is where one of the lengthy process entails. And it is now to evaluate those bids. And it involves having these bidders come in, meet with us, looking at what is it that they're offering, testing it on our platform, and selecting a bid. And that is done at our procurement office to the procurement staff. And so we did, and that was complete on April 26, 2025. Once that is done, then a bidder is selected and endorsed, and that endorsement goes to our JCF procurement committee, and this committee is chaired by a deputy commissioner of police. And bear in mind that this is an independent committee from the procurement office itself. The procurement office are the operational people that do this thing every day. The procurement committee looks at these recommendations, look at the processes on my behalf, and then forward to me a recommendation, which they did on the same day, April 26, 2025, and I approved it. On May 9th, 2025, I submitted a letter to the ICT authority requesting a no objection. And bear in mind, Tom and your listeners, that none of these steps could have been avoided. These are mandatory steps in this particular process. And so we submitted a letter to ICT authority seeking no objection. I did that on May 9th, 2025. I received a no objection from the ICT authority on May 15th, which is 6 days after. I usually have a very good turnaround time. May 15, 2025, I received that no objection. I submitted a letter to the Public Procurement Commission, PPC, requesting approval on May 16th, which is immediately after receiving that from the ICT authority. A notice of endorsement, which is approval, was from the PPC, and so there is no objection on June 4th, 2025. On June 18, 2025, we submitted a cabinet submission that was drafted to the Ministry of National Security. That is on June 18, 2025. On August 14, 2025, following a review of the MNS Cabinet Office, Ministry of National Security's Cabinet Office, approval was granted to proceed with the contract. That is August 14, 2025. The contract negotiation was finalized and the contract executed on September 24, 2025. And today is September 29, 2025. So there's no gap whatsoever in the process. And these are processes, these are steps that we must take.
Police Commissioner Kevin Blake this morning. So I think he answered several of the questions, relating to the concerns over whether the JCF is really committed to acquiring and deploying for use body-worn cameras. Yes? And let us see from here what happens. We have to follow up and, of course, track the timeline. And, while I was away, I saw that video of a young man in Clarendon who is that a 22-year-old young man who said, let me not say that. This was a video of the young man who opened his door to the members of the security forces when they came knocking. And you saw in that video him raising his hands, letting in the security forces. Yeah? And then next thing, Jamar Farquharson, 22-year-old Jamar Farquharson. And next thing we hear that he's dead, killed in that incident. And that is extremely troubling. And, I raise it because it is troubling in and of itself, but it also puts into sharp focus the need for these body-worn cameras. Because we were told later that there was a confrontation between him and the police. After you saw in the video him willingly opening the door, the police in their numbers, several of whom armed with what appeared to be high-powered rifles, and then he would turn around and confront them. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. And we know Indicom is investigating, and we urge Indicom to get the job done professionally and as quickly as possible. Because frankly, I say it is troubling because, you know, that looks like murder. I put it no stronger than that. That looks like murder. And that is what we have to guard against. We have to guard against it. Because we know this Jamaica Constabulary Force has a history of committing murder. We know that. It has been making significant improvements. Yeah? But the point is, we need to know what really happened to 22-year-old Jamar. Not to mention the other troubling elements in that story. The police disabling the cameras and the internet system of the house. Why? We need further and better particulars. Yes. There's another issue that is emerging, and that is the issue of suicides. According to the data we're learning from the JCF, there's been an increase in suicides since June when compared to last year. Up to June, there was a decrease. According to the stats from the JCF, 8 suicides were recorded in July alone. That's a 33% increase when compared to July last year. But then we also saw an increase of 20% in August and 25% in September when compared to the similar months last year. And suicides are back in the news, given the most recent case involving a former Miss Jamaica Universe contestant, 23-year-old Tyra Spalding, who was found dead in her home last week, Tuesday. And that case has really stirred us because Miss Spalding, by virtue of her posts online, was screaming for help. We don't know if she got the help. We see some posts saying that, yes, some people tried. But suicide is a real issue for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't know how to access the help. Or even when the help is offered, they refuse to accept it or somehow neglect to get the help. You know? Consultant psychologist Dr. Leakim Simaj says, listen, relatives and friends, take the early warning signs seriously and get help quickly.
When a person starts talking about it, threatening to do it, take it seriously. Other kind of signs when people start giving away their things that they possess, and they try to get help. A psychologist, psychiatrist, social worker, but many times persons will deny. It's the hardest thing to get help for them because there's nothing wrong with them, but at least get them to a professional who can do the kind of questioning, the kind of assessment to understand the potential for them to act on that behavior.
That's Dr. Leakim Simaj, consulting psychologist. Please, you'll see the signs, early signs, act and insist, you know, and we have more channels now, platforms to detect early warning signs. Social media, you know, you'll see a friend or someone you know make a post that don't ring right, reach out to them. that may be their signal that, listen, I'm struggling. I need help. And there are avenues for you to get help for them. The Ministry of Health's Suicide Prevention Helpline is available, 888-639-5433, 888-639-5433. The You Matter chat line is also available, 838-4897. That's a You Matter chat line, 838-4897. There's also the Safe Spot hotline at 723-3776. The Safe Spot line, 723-3776. Yeah? It's almost time for the break, but there's a story I'm going to pick up on after the break. On the front page of the Gleaner this morning, that 12-year-old boy, first former at Manchester High School. Yeah, very distressing. He's been missing since Friday. Yeah? He's only 12 years old, Jaden Thompson. And if you're in the Manchester area and know anything about the location, whereabouts of Jaden, please, yeah, help those who are his guardians and family. Yeah, 12 years old, and he has just disappeared since Friday evening. All right? And then there is the issue of dementia. I see while I was off, the husband of the former Jamaican Prime Minister, Harold Miller, coming publicly confirming what was pretty well known, that our beloved Sister P was suffering with dementia. Yeah? And this is something that, as the aging expert Dr. Eldemar Shearer says in today's Gleaner, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing to be ashamed of. This is something that is appearing globally, especially among women, older women. Yeah? We're going to pick up on those after the break.
My hands were steady, my eyes were